Hi, I'm Jim, your water pump expert with Water Pumps Direct and Power Equipment Direct. We've got Charlie Utley from Little Giant here showing us how the grinder pumps work for them. And he's going to differentiate that between the grinder pumps and their sewage pumps. Take it away, Charlie.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, just want to talk a little bit about our grinder pump. It's actually a 2 horsepower grinder pumps versus sewage ejector pumps. A lot of people get those confused. Sewage ejector pumps are solids handling pumps, while grinder pumps actually have a cutter system, similar to what you see right here, that actually grind the waste up so that you can pump it through smaller diameter. For instance, 1.25 inch is common diameter pipe. We're using the pressure from the pump because these pumps produce a lot more pressure than typical sewage ejectors. We transfer the waste to a waste treatment facility versus just to a gravity sewer. One of the nice things about this pump is for a 2 horsepower centrifugal grinder pump, it actually has a 130-foot shutoff kit. Uses only 13.9 amps, so it's a fairly low amp used for a 2 horsepower grinder pump. It also has a patented cutter system. Our patented cutter system is, you can see, one of the features is we use an 1.5 inch diameter shaft. By using that 1.5 inch diameter shaft, versus say a 3/4 inch, it allows us to keep that shaft from deflecting as much when you get into a grinding mode, and consequently we can maintain a very close tolerance between the 2 cutters, about 2/1000ths of an inch, which I always tell people it's like a pair of scissors. The tighter those scissors are, the better it cuts. Same thing with grinder pumps. And if you'd like, Jim, we go ahead and do a demonstration. Some of the typical things that people run into problems with the typical gravity sewers and sewage ejectors are things that get flushed that really shouldn't. We'll fire up the grinder here. One of those things, a couple of those things actually, are feminine products. One of the feminine products we get asked about all the time when we're talking about sewage ejector pumps are tampons. Roll and handle a tampon. And as you can see, the tampon's absolutely no problem. Another thing that we get asked about is, and gets flushed and really shouldn't, are feminine napkins. If these don't clog up the plumbing system itself, they'll definitely plumb up a sewage handling pump. But with a grinder, you don't have to worry about that. Rubber items, things that get flushed a lot. Latex gloves, believe it or not, or condoms. The problem with these is they tend to stretch. You don't have a very good cutter system. They'll stretch, big pieces will go through, and if you get a long piece of rubber, it can get behind your impeller, wrap around the shaft, separate those seals, and then you have a major problem on your hands. But with our patented cutter system, you can see how small it cuts those rubber items up. And then just for sheer torque and how much torque this motor has, we've got a shop towel. And I'm going to make this a little more difficult. We're going to tie a knot in it, and we'll see what happens. And again, no problem. And that's because of the superior design, not only on the torque of the motor, the extra pressure available in the Little Giant version, but also that patented cutter system. One other feature of our grinder pump, you can see how small it cuts those items up. One other feature that people run into or problems with grinders is something that people call roping. Roping occurs when you get this fibrous material. It gets cut up, but then it gets spun by the impeller. It'll actually spin it back together, so you get little mop string looking ropes, they call them. Again, if those have to get behind your impeller and wrap around that shaft, they can separate your seals, or they can clog your discharge. We have an anti-roping design built into this pump which nobody else has. We simply put some grooves on the inside of the loop, and we put 4 little notches on the rotating cutter system you see here. Between those 2 design features, it actually interrupts that roping, so we never have any roping. The other nice thing about this particular pump is the stationary cutter is self-aligning. So instead of being totally stationary, it actually can move slightly. So each time it comes on, it's self-aligned. We have it mounted on the bottom, on the outside instead of inside the pump head, and it's held on with a ring and 3 bolts. So if you ever do, after several years, have to change this out due to it getting a little dull, you drop those 3 bolts off, and the ring comes off, and this just slides right out, and you can even turn it around, put it right back in, so it's reversible, because you're only cutting on one side of those blades. So it's reversible, very hardened stainless steel, higher head, lots of nice features on this grinder. Thank you very much.